Okay, here we go. It is a Sunday morning. It's lovely outside. Freakishly lovely. I don't know if it's global warming or what, but yeah, we've had some beautiful, beautiful days here. Oh my gosh. I got so many chores done yesterday. It was such a good day for just messing around with where the goats go in their pens and getting paddocks clean, stuff like that. I loved it. And today on my docket, I intend to go, after I take care of some clients, I'm going to go load up some firewood. Looking forward to that. It's good life. Thought I would read chapter 10 to you in the meantime and see if maybe I can get this posted today or tomorrow. So thanks for being here. Oh, yeah. Hey, this is me reading my book, Dancing with Demons, a Love Story by Laura L. Holloway. That's me. Chapter 10. Right where you're supposed to be. Opens with a quote, as they all do. As a single footstep will not make a path on the earth, so a single thought will not make a pathway in the mind. To make a deep physical path, we walk again and again. To make a deep mental path, we must think over and over the kind of thoughts we wish to dominate our lives. That is a quote by Henry David Thoreau. A funny thing about my first journey is that no one ever told me you actually have to do more than one. In fact, 3 intensive psychedelic sessions spaced over 4 to 6 weeks apart are generally what's recommended for treating depression or PTSD, with plenty of regular old counseling sessions in between. When Joan mentioned this to me after my first journey, I did not find it funny at all. How had I not gathered this information earlier? You mean I had to go through all of that again 2 more times? In our pop-a-pill culture, this newfangled treatment smacked of a magical cure for what ailed me. So I was ready to go through one journey and be fixed, by golly. Alas, this was going to be more work than I'd bargained for, this work of doing the fixing. This notion of becoming fixed brings to mind an Imagine Dragons concert Wendy and I took the boys to a few years ago in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where, to a crowd of 10,000 or so attentive fans, the lead singer, Dan Reynolds, spoke bravely, openly, of his own struggles with depression and suicidality. He continued by declaring, "We are not broken. We do not need to be fixed." Oh, how his words rang in me. I just wanted to feel better, to feel happy more often than fleetingly, to feel well more often than not. I wanted to be able to live my life fully, to do good things for myself and for others, to not feel tugged upon by the undercurrents of fear and loneliness, what seemed like most of the time. I had much to process after that first journey, and did so through my dreams, my journalings, and many long walks in the snowy woods with good dogs. I practiced listening to my body about what to eat, not so much, not at night, and super, super clean. And what to drink, really ease up on the really ease up on the caffeine, my darling. And when to sleep, whenever you're sleepy, dear. My mind became filled with nostalgia and vivid dreams teeming with people from my past, with myriad lessons for the learning, if only I could see. If I could only see. I loved my friend's homestead where I was staying, though it nudged at an ache in me for a place in the country of my own. I wrote, I feel sadness and apprehension around knowing that the dogs and I will leave here in a couple of days, like being pulled away from a dream. I feel anxiety right now and a tightness in my chest, rising up into my throat, though I recognize it may partly be the delicious coffee kicking in. I remind myself that yesterday, when I went to our townhouse to tend Apollo, it felt good to be there. Even the part where I walk in the front door and it still smells like Dad's house. I wonder what that smell could be. I am reminded of slipping the key marked Dad in the front doorknob when the house was still his, when he was inside, sick with the cancer. I remember the smiley face notes taped to the front door reading, "Ring the doorbell and come in." I remember him sitting at his table by the big window, looking out toward the mountains, or finding him sleeping in his room. He was so lonely and also joyful at times, like when I'd first come in the front door. Ah, this thing of life. 'Tis a mixed bag, for sure. I have Homestead on the brain now. Wisconsin, goat farm, all of that. I do so wonder what the future holds. I just love that it held all this. I'm just like looking around at where I'm sitting right now. It held all of this. My future. Wednesday, March 10th, 2021. Maybe it is 6:30 a.m. A fresh layer of snow this morning, a light sugar powder dusting over everything. Beautiful. The wind howling, swirling. I was awake for some time in the night. This seems to be the pattern, to sleep well for some time, then awaken between the two cycles of shallow sleep and REM, so important for the emotional processing through dreams. This is when I suffer night sweats. This is when I toss and turn and slide through consciousness in fits and starts. This is when I chase sleep like a shimmering unicorn through a magical forest, elusive at best. Be gentle with yourself, Joan had said about this time after the journey. And how long does this time last? 3 or 4 weeks? Be gentle with yourself seems to have become one of those cliche catchphrases, or maybe it's just how it feels right now. To the cynical part in me, my, quote, protector, who has begun rising its angry head again in the past couple of days. It has no patience for this woo-woo, this touchy-feely bullshit. It wants action. It wants solutions. It wants control of this weakness and these awful, uncomfortable feelings. Now, for fuck's sake. Perhaps it is the universe reminding me that these hard parts can be gotten through. There is no need to resist them or react or try to fight them off. In the struggle, the snare tightens. Let loose, relax, and breathe into it. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Like a zebra caught in the clutches of a lion, struggling for its life with all the power and force of adrenaline, it wants to live. But then, at a certain point, it lets go. It concedes. It surrenders its body to the lion's jaws. It lets its body go, that the lion and its pride may feed. I am processing a whole lot of grief right now. I will do well to remember to cut myself some slack for that, to give myself some space. After my delicious big cup of coffee has been drunk, and I fix myself a cup of yerba mate, by the kitchen sink I have a vision, a feeling in my chest that I've had before, of a sweet little house with tall windows, surrounded by sunlight and nature and trees. I was just glancing up. I'm like, how tall are these windows? They're pretty tall. Where the sky is huge and glorious at night, where I can stand with head tilted toward the heavens to see all the stars, like here, like this place, like the goat farm in Wisconsin, like someplace else just for me, where my mornings begin with yoga and meditation, then outside into the rising sunlight, tending chickens, throwing hay to llamas, and a couple of horses maybe, where a guardian dog joins me dutifully on my rounds, smiling, tail wagging, hearkening back to my days with Govinda the Elder. A couple of goats for packing and for milk. Gardens, composting, a pond designed and built by Fisher with koi and other fish of his choosing. After first chores and time outside catching the rising sunlight, back indoors for breakfast and to write, until I don't feel like writing anymore. Then a hike with the llamas, goats nibbling along our path, and galloping free with the dogs. A couple of hours, then pausing for a light lunch. Afternoons spent tending the homestead, fences, pastures, beautiful spaces, gardening, building artful structures and things. On windy or rainy days, inside, reading, writing, painting animal portraits and scenes. Wood stove, lovely music, creatures gathered round, dozing contentedly, writing letters to faraway friends. Evenings of chores and walks again, of simple, delicious, homemade food, of gratitude and contemplation. Clawfoot bathtub, fire crackling in the wood stove, climbing into bed when the sun goes down, sighing by candlelight. Peaceful, harmonious living among all creatures of our family and surrounding. This is my vision, my dream. I wonder where it will be. I'm going to pause to acknowledge. It's so fun to read back on that, because it was not nearly manifested yet. And right now, it's definitely a lot of those visions, and also still in the making. Thursday, March 11th, 2021, 6:28 a.m. Met with Joan briefly yesterday morning while the dogs waited patiently in the truck. Told her about my anxiety, about worrying what will happen when Fisher comes home after his 2 weeks at his father's, because I'm feeling so vulnerable and raw. Told her I've had moments when I feel like this is just stupid and bullshit, that I'm feeling even worse than I did before the intensive a week ago. So what the fuck? She sat calmly in her comfy chair, smiling gently, sipping her tea. She said, "Yep, this is all normal. You're doing great," she said. "You are right where you're supposed to be." Words poured out of me, and it all felt like so much to process. She agreed that, yes, it's a lot. She told me I'm really sensitive, that the medicine worked really well on me. I told Joan the story of Wendy and her friend coming to my apartment when they were tripping on acid, and Wendy telling her friend that I'm like this all the time. It feels as though I am always so close to some other reality, I said to Joan. So easily I can be pulled through the thin gossamer of perception to inhabit this other realm, which most people seem largely unaware of, except perhaps in dreams. A reality which most people do not choose to feel or see. So I end up feeling like the crazy person in this realm, as though I don't belong here. I don't quite fit in with the status quo. I am, quote, too sensitive, I was told in my youth, and the message is still received. But too sensitive for what? For whom? You've got to toughen up, girl. You're a smart cookie. You'll figure it out, judging voices have said in my mind and memory. Ah, yes, all of that. Well, I suppose what I've figured out, y'all, is that there is another way. Welcome to my world. Ha ha ha. Leave your bullshit at the door. Look at those mountains, bathed in the morning sunlight, the delicate clouds lingering round their peaks. See not only with your eyes, but feel it in your chest. Feel that beauty, awe, and respect coursing through every vein in you. Breathe it in, slowly, deeply. Feel it. Now, exhale. See our little rabbit friend hopping around outside the back of this house, how peacefully it forages for its morning sustenance. Feel how soft its fur would be to the touch. Feel how its little heart beats so quickly. Feel its tiny, quick rabbit's breath. How exquisite, all of this. A feast for all senses in every moment, with every breath. My God, my gods, to the divine within and surrounding us, to the force which connects us, to the force which connects us all. Yoda spoke the truth, by golly. The dogs sighing in the bedroom, the birds tittering outside in the trees, all of this, all of it, and also so much more. All roads lead to Andrew Huberman, in the words of Rich Roll, plant-based ultramarathoner, author, and podcaster extraordinaire. Feeling anxious, getting to practice breathing techniques learned from the Huberman Lab podcast. Deep exhale through the nose, then deeper still. Sorry. Deep inhale through the nose, then deeper still. Then long exhale. Relax. We are on the path. Just as all roads of insight lead to Andrew Huberman, all roads of my heart lead me home, wherever that may be. What feels right and loving for me, surrounded by animals and peace and space and trees. Relax, Laura. Just relax. Wednesday, March 17th, 2021. Sometime after 5 a.m. I was having strange dreams about puppets on strings and lots of cows and mud and blood in the snow. I was making plans to buy 2 plots of land, old farms, and thinking, well then, the animals will be safe. Well, how should I say that? Well, then the animals will be safe. Well then. Anyways, I was wearing a long, old-fashioned dress and trying to squeeze through some sort of metal chicken chute door. I was concerned about getting hurt, but was following an elderly woman wearing another such dress, and she was doing just fine, didn't seem concerned at all. Maybe the elderly woman was supposed to be my dear friend, Dolores, in Wisconsin, but she didn't look like her at all. I had been sleeping 10 or more hours a night at Tigger's homestead, especially after the MDMA session. Nothing like that now that I'm back home with Fisher. He will not allow it. Last night I was in bed by 8 p.m., exhausted. Fell asleep with one hand on Ashaya to my left, the other with fingers buried in Anzu's scruff to my right. I was awoken by Fisher turning on the bathroom light outside the bedroom door, getting ready for bed. I got frustrated when he turned on the lights a second time, then blustered into my room to get Ashaya. He does not understand that I need to get a good night's sleep, already challenged by waking up at all hours of the night with hot flashes and night sweats, or else I really am not functional. It does not hit home to him that I'm trying really, really hard just to take good care of myself so I can be a better parent for him as much as anything else, rather than some ragey, out-of-whack momster. If he won't let me take care of myself, then what is the point? When it turns into these battles, these power struggles between us. He obviously does not see the correlation at all, as a teenager concerned mainly with the whim of every moment, while I, as his mother, do the best I can with what flawed and incomplete mothering tools I possess in my befuddling, quote, life as a human on this planet, end quote, toolbox. And where are the instructions for this fucking thing anyways? I'm doing the very best that I can, with what I've been given, as well as with what I'm learning as I go. Fisher tells me he feels like he's paying for my shitty childhood. He tells me I've got shit on my boots that gets scraped off on him, and he's just going to end up scraping it off on someone else down the road. I don't really know what to say about that astute observation that it is. What is the solution? To learn how to clean off both our respective pairs of boots? To kick our fucking boots off altogether and learn how to frolic carefree in the grass? I don't know. Maybe so. All I know is that moment by moment, bit by bit, we are both doing the best we can. Sometimes that may not look so great. I was always afraid I would be a terrible mother, that I was too socially awkward, reclusive, emotionally all over the board, easily overwhelmed and overstimulated. I remember an older friend, a mother figure at the time, telling me in my mid-20s that I would make a good mom because I was so good at taking care of animals. But animals are intensely forgiving. They will wait around for you to feed and play with them at about the times they're used to, judging by where the sun is in the sky. They could really care less what time you get there to muck out the barn, or if you're feeling melancholy or downright depressed, or if you haven't showered or washed your hair for days. They don't care. They don't blame you or tell you what an awful mom you are. They don't look at you sideways when they're out of clean pants, even though they have not explored the full dryer, expecting pants only to appear magically folded in their drawer. I do not know what to do here. I do not know what to be. Part of me wants to just go back to the goat farm in Wisconsin, to milk goats and make soap, and hang out with Dolores in her bountiful garden. She could teach me about canning and how to bake her exquisite bread until she finally decides to give up the ghost, 100 or so years being quite enough of all this, and leave our earthly realm. My beloved child, whom I cherish in a way more profound than any other being I could imagine loving. Sometimes I don't even know how to be with him, how to take care of him. I don't know what he needs, truly needs. I feel so deeply saddened in my heart. I feel like there are weights tethered to my limbs, laying upon my chest. I am not sure how to set myself free. Thursday, April 1st, 2021, 6:05 a.m. With all roads leading to Andrew Huberman, yesterday evening washing dishes after supper with Fisher while he prepared rice pudding for dessert, I listened to an interview in which Andrew spoke of circadian rhythms and how it's important to set everything else aside to seize the 90 minutes in which one's creativity is honed, to be expressed with its fullest potential, whatever that looks like for you, and whatever time of day that becomes present for you. I heard his remark and thought, heck yeah. For me, it is the writing before sunrise. That is the time of my flow. When the words come trickling out of me like spring water from deep within, growing steadily, sometimes in a gushing torrent. Yes, thank you, Dr. Huberman. Validation feels divine. I suppose this is why I feel such conflict with Fisher in the evenings, when he wants to stay up sorting through his magic cards or working on projects, and I feel desperate to get to bed, to get my rest so I can rise early and invigorated, make my coffee before sunrise, and sit with my journal and my words while the rest of the house still sleeps. Last night, he and I reached an agreement. Last night, he and I reached an agreement that he would close his bedroom door to keep his bedside lamp light from pouring into my room. I keep my door open so the cat can come and go as he pleases. And he would promise to turn his light out at 9. I guess that worked out pretty well, though I do worry about him losing track of time and not getting enough sleep himself. Right now I feel a little anxious in my chest and throat, a tightness growing as the sun begins to rise, because I am running out of time to myself, despite waking up, no alarm, at 5. No 90 minutes of creativity for me this morning, Dr. Huberman. Admittedly, I lay in bed for quite a while this morning, knees drawn to my chest beneath the blankets, hugging them firmly, giving my hips and back a nice stretch. I thought about the feel of Beorn's muscles beneath his thin, well-worn t-shirt yesterday when we met to discuss him putting dog-proof screens in my truck's topper. His shirt fit his frame perfectly and smelled suspiciously clean for a man who said he'd been working on a car half the day. Had he changed his shirt before I got there? Or does this man just never sweat? Knees to my chest, I thought of the slight awkwardness between us, how our words were coming in unsure little jumps and starts. I wondered at his silences, at his sometimes abruptness, wondered if it was just because he feels awkward and insecure too. If these are just our protectors rising to greet one another, to suss each other out in a curious little dance. Circling like big cats, wondering if it's safe to draw near. And is it safe to draw near? Then, unexpectedly, he opened his strong arms, drawing me in, enfolding and engulfing me against his muscly chest. Sweet Jesus, how it feels to be held. Out by the back of my pickup truck, feeling self-conscious about my extra COVID layer of thickness, wriggled into form-fitting clothes, his arms around me silently, just holding me. I found myself thinking quietly, out loud, I should let myself just do this, just be here. Because being held is such a precious gift, especially now in times of social distancing. To be held in such a way by a full-grown human and all, to be held by this beautiful man. I was aware that it felt hard for me to stay there, to keep myself from pulling away, that some part of me wanted it so badly, hence making it unsafe. It felt to me as though he was fully present, still and strong, as though giving himself fully to the embrace, while I grappled with my own inner conflicts, trying to find that stillness, that surrender, that presence in his arms. I tried to allow myself to breathe in the smell of him, to allow for the soft bliss of feeling his warm neck against my lips. This does not feel real to me. It feels too perfect, too beautiful, too divine. This work of art in flesh and blood and bone, with his own awkwardnesses, with his own awkwardness and long pauses, his own hesitations, holding me. What is going on in that mind? As we let go and stumbled around each other like bumbling, precious puppies, as I can't stop touching him, is that okay? As our hands and bodies seem drawn to one another again and again, as we sit for a while with his legs dangling from the tailgate, with my knees around him from inside the bed of my truck. We talked a little. What did we even talk about? This and that. While I worked on his amazing back, pressing my thumbs and knuckles into his muscles, squeezing his shoulders and arms with my long fingers and hands, strong from decades of cleaning horse stalls. Ah, yes, this touch, this nurturing, this is where I find myself grounding, coming into balance at last. It reminded me of that time in Minneapolis in 2001, sitting across from Henry on a tour bus after an intense Rollins band show. To this day, I'm not sure why he invited me onto the bus, unlike the next time in Madison when it was bitterly cold. Turning to the tour bus that time, he sighed with resignation. "Come on," he said, and I followed him like a pup. After humoring me for as long as he was willing to tolerate, I was to get a stern talking to. It's not you, he said finally. I just don't date. He certainly never gave any indication of wanting to get in my pants or anything unseemly of the sort. I believe he was just being gracious to this starry-eyed gal who wanted nothing more than to be in his presence a while longer. I've long observed Henry to be gracious, while also taking no shit. After Rolando first brought me to a spoken word show at 7th Street Entry in Minneapolis in 1988, I saw Henry speak several more times over as many years, and I devoured most of his books. Seated across the narrow tour bus aisle from him, I asked Henry questions now and then, but mostly I listened to him tell stories, my own private show, noticing that he wouldn't look at me directly. From the corner of my eye, I could see his gaze turn to me only when I looked away. After some time of this, I asked if he wanted a back rub. He shot me a quizzical glance, and I quickly clarified, "No, not like that. I mean, I just watched you basically kick your own ass for 2.5 hours on stage." I ventured. "You could probably use a back rub." Henry agreed. He nestled in on the floor with his back to me, muscular shoulders between my knees, and the awkwardness subsided instantly. He no longer had to fill space with words. He did not have to avoid looking at me. My hands could do what comes naturally to them, to caress, to knead, to soothe. I found my center, my grounding, through working his strong neck, his shoulders, his tattooed back and arms. I marveled at how even Henry Rollins is just flesh and bone beneath all his intensity, his sternness, his sweat, beneath all those powerful words. Like Beorn now, to my touch, a glorious and guarded little boy in the body of this grown man who worries, works his fingers to the bone, yet can hold me in the most firmly gentle embrace. As I drove away from him that day, I licked my lips, tasting salt from his skin. Ah, yes, he does sweat. I like that passage. Sunday, April 4th, 2021, 6:27 a.m. Thinking about those pat-pat hugs some people give. Not a real hug like those of Beorn. The real hugs that he gives, but then takes away again. Poof, just like that. Into the ether he goes. Humans are scary. It feels safer to be alone, and yet I get so lonely. I don't know what to do with these feelings. I want to purge them, to make peace with them, or just fucking something. I don't know. It was interesting when a girlfriend from the big city observed what a solitary lifestyle I lead. I don't have people around me all day long. Just the animals mostly. When she asked if I get lonesome, my answer didn't. I think it's time for a drink of water. When she asked if I get lonesome, my answer didn't feel quite accurate. That I don't, because I'm so focused on the animals, on connecting with them and being with them. This is a true statement, most certainly, and also, I do crave human company. Not in the way of desiring someone by my side every hour of every day, but in proximity, my goodness, yes, that would be lovely. I imagine what it might be like to have a partner, an equal to come home to, someone with whom to feel deeply connected by our mutual choosing, someone I may hold in my heart so fondly as both lover and true friend. For all our similarities and all our differences, too, to have each other's backs through life until the very end. Yes, please, universe, please send that human being to me. Let me know it in my chest and by the glimmer in his eye when he has arrived. Yes, please, Let me feel strong and beautiful in his presence and feel safe in my moments of vulnerability, to feel always supported, never weak. I do not feel that this is too much for me to ask. I feel as though something in my own energy has been blocking this connection I desire, has been blocking it my whole life. I do not know the answer to this riddle and sometimes worry that I'm running out of time to build a little home in the country with this someone, to have our little family, our garden, and chickens plucking around in the yard. What a glorious vision! Yet here I am, over 50, my heart still feeling the passions of my youth, and in this curious emotional holding pattern, or not even. I'm not sure exactly what it is, or what I should do. Am I fulfilling what I desire for myself in this glorious life I've been granted? Among these mountains with John Denver's Among these mountains that John Denver's voice sang to me of when I was a little girl, with these cats, with these dogs and the cat, and the most beautiful, magical man cub asleep in his bedroom upstairs, old Chihuahua close by his side. This must be the dream I have created, that I am creating. This must be some version, unmistakably, of my dream. Monday, April 5th, 2021, 5:10 a.m. Excuse me. I'm just thinking about how... Yeah, let's pause for a second. I keep thinking about how when I'm recording the audiobook, Joe's like, we're going to pound it out in like 2 days. I'm just like, dude, I cannot read this whole freaking book in 2 days. I seem to get a little antsy. I don't know. It's a lot to read even just one chapter at a time out loud. I would not be a very good professional book reader. Okay, back to the book. Yesterday marked the 4-week anniversary of my MDMA session, and man, it was a motherfucker. In the past few weeks, I have had moments of feeling incredibly grateful for the insights born of that chemical opening, and also, several times, I have questioned the wisdom of inducing such a dramatic shift in my very sensitive internal ecosystem. I already feel that I'm swayed by the mercies of the wind. Does this intensive dismantling of my inner emotional structure truly serve me, or ultimately just break me down? And how, oh how, do I rebuild myself? Do I build myself up again? Is this truly where I'm supposed to be? All of this intensity, all of this fear I find myself grappling with. Yesterday felt as bad as it has been, spanning from tears and feelings of hopelessness, helplessness, to quick bursts of frustrated rage. When little Manu jumped up on me, scratching my leg. When I could not find the keys to the hybrid and Fisher snarked at me that we are late, we should just take the truck. When Fisher was downstairs, not answering me as I called out to him from my room. You were mumbling. I couldn't hear you, he said. But I suspect the truth was more that he did not want to come to me, to be near me in my tearful state, laying like some sickly monster version of Mom in bed. I don't want to be near me like this. So how could I possibly blame him? I only wish to get away from myself, from the weakness, from the pain. Anzu decided to move into the shade. Or excuse me, the sun. The sun? Are you happy in the sun? Good girl. I had images in my mind from in my early 20s when I lived in Arizona. I had a sort of friend, though what were we really? I don't remember us being full-on lovers, so I suppose that made us friends. Who had a colorful, somewhat dangerous lifestyle, but a simple, soothing demeanor. I entered his fancy apartment early one morning to find him asleep with a very pretty, mostly naked young woman in his bed. For whatever reason, it seemed reasonable to me to climb right in there with them, curled on the other side of my friend. The young woman seemed understandably displeased. Without a word, she slid from beneath the sheets and left. I stayed for the better part of the day, right there in my friend's bed. I don't know why that image came to my mind yesterday as I lay sobbing and writhing and missing my mother desperately. When Fisher rode his bike to a friend's house, understandably and for the best, and Anzu would not be near me. When I could not stop sobbing, wanting to claw my way out of my own skin. What fuckery is this? Who the fuck wants this? When I'd spent the morning texting with Beorn until he dropped out again. Too much, maybe, for him. I had begun only by saying that I would figure the topper thing out on my own, and thank you for offering, but it seemed as though he already had too much on his plate. He replied, texting, "Oh, no, he's just sitting on his porch enjoying a cup of coffee, and he's already ordered the supplies for the topper windows. They would be here Tuesday. And what happened? Why the change? Is there a rush? Could I explain?" So I did. I let the walls I'd erected with my first vague message tumble down. I explained the triggers from the past few days, of all our, quote, miscommunications, and having to drop by his house without confirming. We'd had tentative plans about the topper, but then he didn't answer his phone. To feeling dumb and frustrated with myself after being afraid of his pit bull, who trotted out back to see who was visiting. How was I to know what a sweetheart she was? He had a reason for each of those things I brought up, from his phone glitching out to missing social cues. "I'm not too far off the spectrum," he confided, which I felt grateful to read, because that makes perfect sense to me. When I felt we were actually in a conversation, albeit by text message, I began to open up, feeling some relief at the connection, the exploration, at the insights we were perhaps coming to. I told him I'm very selective with the human company I keep, and about being socially awkward and limiting my social interactions. He said he can relate, and he is socially awkward too, that he keeps himself well guarded. I professed that I would like for him to let his guard down with me. Then he was gone. No more replies, no, "Hey, I've got to boogie," or anything. Maybe he'd finished his cup of coffee and decided he was done texting about all these feelings for the day. Maybe it was simply time to put those guards back up and move on. After that, it was just me emoting into the wind, with no reply at all from Beorn. After that, it was just me sobbing in my bed alone, feeling useless and helpless, wanting to cease to exist. But no, oh no. I could not leave my darling child. My God, my gods, oh my goddess divine. I cannot do that, even when he can't stand to be near me. I cannot do that to these creatures who depend on me. I cannot do that to those who love me. I very simply cannot. I just have to get through it. I just have to survive. I just have to keep living and get my bearings and be solid for those who depend on me to live. I just have to pull my shit together. That is the only thing to do. It is interesting that the imagery in my mind, as I lay miserable in bed, was of a time where I surrendered completely, where I put myself in someone else's hands, worthy of my submission or not. It may have been mere folly for my friend, as I climbed boldly between his sheets, where I allowed myself to be handcuffed to the bed, allowed him to keep me there for the day. I was in his charge, in his care. The burdens of my own decision-making deferred to a pretty fellow who was pretty messed up as well. But he was ultimately kind and sweet to me, and he was good at taking charge of things. He relieved me of my responsibilities for the day, kept me as his pet for that short while. He took care of me, and I welcomed it gratefully, even though it meant being chained. Jeez Louise. 30 years down the road from them, where I am now a mother, a homeowner, a business owner, where I still struggle sometimes just to figure out my own needs and how to get them met, when my heart still longs to be cared for, to be understood, to allow my own guards to come down, to just feel safe. I'm still not sure what it means to be safe. I still long for that security, that sanctuary, that peace, when I don't even know what it means, really, if it's possible, if it's real, how to find it, if it is. Upstairs, Fisher's alarm goes off, playing music of the Shire from The Lord of the Rings. And oh, that we could live in such a place. Okay, that concludes chapter 10. I don't have much to say about it. As always, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. If you dig it, please hit like and subscribe. Share with a friend. Hey, you could even buy the book. That'd be awesome. So, yeah, I'm going to get out into the real world. It looks pretty phenomenal out there. Love you. That's all. We'll see you next time.